get this, in what only can be described as a win for Trump and Trump supporters, Joe Biden has put back on the table, he's open to the possibility of starting back up the wall. Yes, that horrible, racist, evil wall that Democrats tried to stop from ever becoming a reality to begin with. On second thought, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's not so evil and racist. Maybe we actually do need a wall. And maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump was right. But I can't tell you how frustrating it is to look back and be like, that was just one of the hugest arguments. Was that, I mean, the wall was just racist and that's why we couldn't have it. And now they're just like, well, maybe we should have it. Maybe we should finish the wall. So I am, of course, all for this. If Joe Biden goes ahead and decides to finish that wall, good job, Joe Biden. It took you a couple months to realize the truth. And honestly, I gotta tell you, I think Democrats knew we needed a wall. They knew it. They just did not want Donald Trump to be the one to build it. That's all. That's all it was. They didn't want him to have any kind of win, even if they might have agreed with it a little bit. Maybe if they did recognize just a little bit that he was right, they couldn't let him have it. That's all it was. It wasn't, anyway. So, if Joe Biden is suddenly all for the wall, I'll take it. It's a win for us. Thank you, Joe Biden. And I hope he does do it, because we need the wall. Regardless of who finishes the wall, whether it's Biden, Trump, whoever, we need the wall. Just do it. And I hope he does. But I do have a question for Democrat voters out there. After years of being told that walls don't work, that to build a wall would be racist, and also to have these facilities at the border where you keep the children. I mean, these facilities, these migrant facilities, these kids in cages. That's all horrible and racist and evil. You were told for years these things, and you accepted it, and you repeated these lies, and you were all for it, and you went out on the streets and you protested this shit, and you legit believed in your heart and soul that the wall was evil, that these facilities were evil, and that this was just horrible, racist, Nazi things. How do you now go from that to just switch in your brain, your position, completely, and now go, well, on second thought, it's not so bad. These things aren't so racist after all. On second thought, I'm on board with it. How do you just change your mind, just switch, like, how do you do it? How do you Are you okay with this? Democrat voters out there who just spent years crying and wailing against this wall and these facilities. Are you okay with the fact that now your guy is doing the same thing? Are you fine with it? Was it just the fact that it was Donald Trump doing these things? Is it okay now that it's Joe Biden? It was just a President Trump thing. I mean, is that all? If Hillary Clinton had came out in 2016 and said, I will build a wall, I will protect our border, would you Democrat voters out there been on board with that? Would you been fine? Honestly, it just baffles me. It baffles the mind, and it's horribly frustrating to go from a president who was completely capable, completely competent, completely to himself, who was doing all these great things, and you motherfuckers decided, I'm going to listen to the lies in the media and the lies from these Democrats, and I am going to develop stage 5 Trump derangement syndrome. And I will allow you people to convince me to vote for this dementia fuck over the guy who is actually doing a good job. I will allow you to convince me to vote for this guy over here with dementia. Anybody, as long as it's not Donald Trump. It's really frustrating, to say the least. We went from somebody who was just great, the protector of the people, the protector of the country, the protector. And we went from that to this guy who literally falls walking up Air Force One. This guy who makes a fool out of himself at every single opportunity he is given. Press conference, he'll make a fool of himself. Give him an Easter speech somewhere, anywhere giving a speech somewhere, anywhere giving any kind of talk, any kind of giving kind of remarks to it. You are making a fool of yourself every single step of the way. We went from somebody great to somebody who is just a fucking imbecile. But we do have more good news, okay? So the wall was good news. I hope he does decide to start that wall back up. We have more good news. Another blow to Joe Biden. You might remember me talking before that Joe Biden and the Democrats want to end the filibuster in the Senate. Well, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Democrat Senator Joe Manchin said Wednesday there was no circumstance in which he would vote to eliminate the filibuster, likely ending hopes for some of Joe Biden's more ambitious legislative initiatives. Joe Manchin wrote in an op-ed for the Washington Post, "The filibuster is a critical tool to protecting our democratic form of government. The time has come to end these political games and to usher in a new era of bipartisanship where we find common ground on the major policy debates facing our nation." So that's great. Because as we all know, Biden has expressed support for reforming. He wants to end the filibuster, and make no mistake about it. The filibuster, calling it a relic of the Jim Crow era. The president said he would support a rule shift that would mandate lawmakers. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but it's great. This is another blow to Joe Biden. He won't be able to end the filibuster, it's looking like, which means he will not be able to just ram through every single fucking piece of legislation that he wants. And he would. Every single thing that came to his desk, he would sign automatically, not even thinking about it. Yes, yes, yeah, this will put an end to that. This will not happen now. However, Democrats, however, were given a slight victory this week after the Senate parliamentarian said lawmakers could use a process called budget reconciliation multiple times a year to advance major spending and tax bills with a simple majority. Biden's latest major policy, a $2.3 trillion infrastructure plan, could pass without Republican support using such a maneuver. And, of course, that's what they'll do. I mean, any time they can get away from being bipartisan, they'll take that route, which is why they wanted to end the filibuster completely anyway. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So that's another major win, another major victory for us. This is actually a pretty positive video, I've got to say, because the wall possibly could be starting back up, and the Senate filibuster is staying in place. Two major victories for us, and I would say a major blow to the Democrat Party. Okay? They will not get to end the filibuster and ram through every piece of legislation that they want. Plus, they had to admit that the walls work and we need the wall. They had to admit it. So that's a major victory for us, a major blow for them. Awesome, I'll take what I can get. So, on the whole, right now, things are looking pretty good. Oh, and by the way, here's another thing. Apparently, I'm a Pepsi product drinker now because, well, Georgia has this new voting law, right? You might have heard me mention it before. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. Well, here's the story. They have strengthened their voting laws a little bit. Could have been better. Could have been worse. But hey, it's a start. At least they did something. But here's the thing. Democrats want to act like it is just the end of the world now. Mainly because of the new requirement in Georgia that is requiring a voter ID. Democrats have a big issue with this. You see, they think it's racist to require a ID to vote because they say that not all black people know how to get a hold of an ID, which means that there's a whole lot of black people out there that can't do a whole lot of anything. They can't drive a car, they can't rent an apartment. Oh, they can't buy a pack of cigarettes, they can't buy a beer, they can't cash a check. You know, hey, there must be a lot of broke-ass black people out there. They keep getting paid, but they can't figure out how to cash the damn thing, right? Doesn't that sound more racist to you? That's racist. Saying that black people are too stupid to figure out how to get an ID, that is racist. Not requiring an ID to vote, that is common sense. But here's the thing. Democrats don't have a lot of common sense. That's how, neither do their voters, and that's how Democrats get elected. Personally, I think that Democrats don't want voter ID because they want illegals to be able to vote. They want illegal immigrants here for a reason. Right? So obvious. But anyway. So yeah, a lot of Democrats throwing a huge fit. Temper tantrum. That's what these Democrats are. Just little tiny toddlers laying on the floor of the supermarket. They can't get their candy, so they're kicking and they're screaming and they're just throwing an awful crying fit until they finally get their way. That's what these Democrats are. So here's what they're going to do. They're going to yell and scream and cry and freak the fuck out, and they're going to boycott Georgia, the entire state of Georgia. They're like, yeah. And all these corporations are like, see you, Georgia. Fuck you guys. We don't like your bill. Or they're just saying, your bill is stupid. It's racist. Oh my god. That doesn't go well with me. Okay. Coca-Cola is one of these companies that has spoken out against this bill, saying that this bill does not this is a step backwards. It does not reflect our values. Coca-Cola has said this. Why these corporations are sticking their nose into politics, I have no idea. It's not their area of expertise. It's none of their concern. They should not be involved in this. But they've decided to insert themselves into this issue. And so here's what we're going to do. Since the Democrats like boycotts so much, we're going to take a lesson from them and use their own tactics against them and boycott some of their shit. There's a whole lot of things that will be boycotted now. The only one of these products that I use is Coca-Cola. So I've been drinking Coca-Cola for years, and as much as I love Coca-Cola, I am willing to do my part to hurt them. I know that I'm just one person, and me alone, I'm not going to do a lot of damage, of course. But all of us together, maybe we can put a little dent in what they're doing. Hurt them just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But here's another thing. Another part of it is I just cannot continue to give my money to a company that thinks this kind of retarded, stupid shit. Now here's another thing. Joe Biden himself is calling for the boycott of Georgia. Have you ever heard such a thing from a president of the United States? Can you imagine? Okay, they always want to talk about, oh, President Trump is so divisive. Oh my God. Can you imagine if he had done something like this? It would have never happened. Not once in his entire presidency did President Trump call for a boycott of an entire U.S. state. Can you imagine if he'd been like, hey, let's boycott California? The reaction from the left would have been huge. God, they would have overreacted like a motherfucker. But not now. No. Joe Biden gets a pass. It's fine. It's perfectly logical for the President of the United States to say, hey, we should boycott an entire state. That's fine. Whatever. Really, what pisses them off the most is that Georgia strengthening their election laws is like them admitting that, okay, yeah, some things happened during the 2020 election that should not have happened, and this is our way of correcting it. And it pisses off Joe Biden and the Democrats that the state of Georgia is willing to acknowledge that things went wrong and things that happened in 2020 should not have happened. And it just pisses off the Democrats, so they're using race as an excuse to punish the state. It's so obvious what they do. But they will not win. I am convinced that in the end, we will end up on top. And I look more and more forward every day to 2024 when things will start to turn around and we will correct the error that occurred in November 2020. It will happen. Just wait and see.